the best actor I've ever worked with is Tatiana Maslany, who is obviously the lead of Orphan Black, and she is she's an improv kid. She started doing improv when she was, you know, a teenager, or even maybe younger than that, when she was living out in the prairies in Regina, Saskatchewan. So she was big into improv, and she's absolutely brilliant at it. And we do a lot of improv on set, even behind the scenes, just joking around. Of course, when she doesn't have her face buried in a script, because she has to work so hard for that show. But we love to improv in the scenes and throw, you know, comedic buttons on the ends of scenes or in the middle. And she always throws things at me because she knows I love to improv. So we really dig working with each other, especially the Alison-Donnie relationship. So we love throwing things at each other to keep each other on our toes. And a lot of the times that makes it into the show, which is pretty awesome.
Cool. Yeah, and congratulations to her for the Critics' Choice Award.
Yeah, so thrilling. I'm so happy for her. 2 years in a row, and it's so well-deserved. I mean, she was so incredible in Season 1, but I really think in Season 2 she even more knocks it out of the park. Like, my jaw is constantly on the floor when I watch the show because she's just so stellar. So cool. Yeah, I'm very, very proud of her. Very happy for her.
Now, how did Orphan Black come to you? Was it just a regular audition, or how did you first hear about the project, and what was the audition process like?
It was really cool for me. It was one of those weird experiences that maybe this was just sort of meant to happen, which is a weird thing to say, and it doesn't happen that often, but they had been looking for the role of Donnie for a while. He didn't come into until the third episode of the first season, and just very briefly in the third episode. But they were looking for him for a while. They had rounds of auditions, and they still hadn't found what they're looking for. And I had been doing a play at the time. I do theater, like I'll do a play maybe once every year or every 2 years. So I was just in one of those rare moments of being in a play, and I had to be pretty schlubby for that play, so I kind of gained some weight. I gained about 10 pounds of just eating lots of junk food and drinking beer the fun way. You know, putting on weight is always more fun than taking it off.
Oh my God, a job where they tell you to gain weight. This is awesome.
I know, really, seriously. It gets annoying sometimes, but it was pretty fun. So I was doing this play. And because when you're rehearsing during the day and then doing all the tech requirements to get the play to opening night, I was super busy, and I told my agent, listen, don't give me any auditions. I'm sorry, I'm in tech. Once the play opens, then I'll go back to auditioning because I'll only be performing at night. My days will be free, and we can get me some more work, which would be awesome. So I wasn't available to audition for Donnie that whole time, and the play opened up, and as soon as it opened, my agent called me, and she's like, you got an audition for this new show, Orphan Black. I hadn't heard of it yet because they had just started shooting it. There wasn't any buzz going on about it yet. It was a bit of a mystery. And she's like, it's a 3-episode arc. I think it's a good role for you, and you're finally available to audition for it, so, you know, go for it. So I get the sides, and there's 3 scenes, and I get the sides the night before the audition, and I've got a show that night. So I quickly kind of read the scenes and try to just start memorizing them, but then I have to go and do my play for a couple hours, and afterwards, you know, you're kind of wired when you're done doing theater because it's such a hair-raising experience sometimes. And I was, you know, kind of awake and just trying to cram these lines into my head for the next morning. I didn't have time to work on it as much as I usually like to work on auditions, so I went in there really going by the seat of my pants and just basically shooting from the hip. I memorized the lines, and I got the character. Like, I understood the character. I didn't have to do too much work for him, and went in there, and the audition was with the casting director who was reading with me, and then the assistant to the showrunners, to the creators, Graham Manson and John Fawcett. Mackenzie, who is absolutely amazing, Mackenzie Donaldson, she was in there sort of watching the auditions. and she really enjoyed it. We did 3 scenes. They were from basically an argument from episode 4 between Alison and Donnie about the kids, and then the whole scene leading up to her whacking me in the face with the golf club, and then the whole glue gun torture scene, or part of the glue gun torture scene, which was so much fun to play, and it's basically me just kind of getting hit in the face and pretending to like roll around on the ground and then getting burned and blah, 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 blah. Anyways, that was the only audition. There was no callback. There was no producer session. They were shooting. They were so busy shooting the episodes at that point that they didn't have time to do a producer session. But luckily enough, they really, really dug my take on it, and they booked me right there, which was really, really thrilling. And then when I went into the writer's room, this is the longest answer ever, sorry.
No, it's okay.
When I went into the writing room, when I went to meet, I had my fitting, my wardrobe fitting, and they're like, oh, the showrunner wants to meet you. I was like, oh, God. I got really nervous. I'm like, okay, it's Graham, right? Yeah, okay. All right. And they showed me up to the writing room. So I walk into the writing room, and it's all the writers in a circle. And it was November at that time, and they were doing that. They were doing Movember, where you grow a mustache in support of prostate cancer research. Yeah. So all the writers had these terrible mustaches that were like just sparse and growing in. Every one of them had it, and so did Graham. And I'm just like, what did I just walk into? This room full of dudes with like mustaches, and Karen Walton, who's another writer, she was in there too. She did not have a mustache, and they just started launching into how much they loved the audition. I was like, whoa, okay, thanks. And I think the thing that they dug so much was from the glue gun torture scene. And the thing that they got a real kick out of was in the audition, and I didn't plan for this, it was just something that I did on the fly. As soon as Alison starts burning my chest with hot glue, I started screaming, obviously, and then I started trying to blow it out, like as if like blowing on it would cool it quicker. Yeah. So I was going, ah! What are you? And then like yelling at her. And they were dying. They loved that so much. And it was like one of those quick, from your gut improvs that you do in an audition that made it stand out, I guess, from everybody else who auditioned for the role. And I think that moment was what really booked me the role. They just dug it so much. And then, yeah, Graham walked me around the set for half an hour and introduced me to everybody, made me feel very welcome right from the get-go. We ended up standing on the in the studio on the back patio of the Hendrix house, which was empty. That side of the studio was empty. They were shooting in the other studio. And we just chatted about the character. And it was so trippy because I'm standing, in the backyard patio of a suburban house, but it's inside, and I'm talking to my new boss about my character. And from then on in, it was just, a big loving, man. I love that show. Everybody is so cool. Graham and John are incredible to work for, and the role really expanded after we started having some fun with it.
So on the set, you mentioned you guys kind of do some improv and fun things like that. Has there ever been a time where Tatiana has been Alison, but all of a sudden, like, the accent comes out for somebody else?
No, she's so good. She's so tuned into her characters that's never happened. I have worked with her, obviously, as Sarah a couple times, but she's always Sarah playing Alison. And it's really so unsettling because I'm so used to working with Alison, with the Alison clone, that that hanging out with her, it's almost like I'm hanging out with Tatiana in a different body. See, she sometimes keeps up the accent so it's not too far away. It might be like just a hint of it, but usually, like, if she's Sarah, it won't be fully gone. It'll just be sort of in the back of her throat so that she can just pull it up really quickly. But it's really unsettling, like... I also did a scene with Rachel, which was in the final episode, but it got cut due to time, and it will be included in the DVD release of the show. There's actually a bunch of scenes with Donnie and Alison, and then Donnie threatening Rachel, the pro clone, in the finale, which is really, really fun, and they were so bummed that they had to cut it, but it will be in the DVD extras. And working with Rachel was like an absolute mind trip because she is such a cold bitch.
And she seems so different, radically. I mean, woof.
She is so different. It was such a trip, and I think now that Donnie is a part of the Clone Club, I'm going to have some more experiences. If we go ahead with season 3, I'll have some more experiences to work with, other clones. I would love to see Donnie and Helena together, or see how that would go.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm kind of curious. You had brought up the hot glue gun scene. What exactly was it that they were using for the glue?
Oh, it was hot glue. They really tortured me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. No,
that was his renegotiation for the second season.
I know, right?
Yeah. I'm method. I really need to feel it. I need to feel the burn. No, not at all. It was actually gel that had glitter in it, so it had like this very Alison crafty, glittery glue look to it. And then they stuck on some dried sparkly glue onto my chest and put makeup around it to look like it was burning my skin red. So initially when it drops onto my skin, it's like this sparkly gel, and then they glued me, basically. Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, guess what? We have a caller, and caller, area code 702. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Caller, area code 702.
I'm sorry, me?
Yes.
Hi, Donnie. I was just wondering what your favorite scene to shoot in Orphan Black so far was.
It's a very good question. Thank you for asking it. There are so many favorite scenes from season 2. From season 1, it's definitely the glue gun torture scene. I think that was the most fun I had up until that point. The most fun I had ever had on set on any show. I was tied to that chair for days to shoot all of those scenes, and it was so much fun. We had such a blast. The props crew had a great time, taping me down to the chair and, putting all the crap on me. So that was originally the most fun I ever had. And then season 2 came around, and they really topped the craft room of terror, which I didn't think they would be able to. So episode 7 and episode 9 in season 2 both have a very special place in my heart. The whole rehab stuff going on between Alison and Donnie, and also Sarah pretending to be Alison, or actually Sarah pretending to be Alison, pretending to be Donnie, and Donnie pretending to be Alison, was a lot of fun. But getting to shoot Dr. Leakey was mind-blowingly scary, no pun intended, scary and fun at the same time. We had one take to do that shot, and it was like 1 a.m. It was starting to rain, and the director, Ken Girardi, came up to me and he's like, okay, we planned to do this 2 or 3 times for safety. We've gone over time today. It's starting to rain. It's cold. It's the middle of February. We only have one take because it's going to be messy, and it's going to take like 2 hours to clean up before we can take an hour to clean the inside of the vehicle off before we can do another take. So we've decided we're going to do one take of this. So don't fuck it up. And that was one of the scariest things I've ever had to do as an actor. When you have that much money and a whole crew of people riding on your performance for a one-take wonder, it's really, really nerve-wracking, and especially such an intense scene like that where there's a lot of emotion involved, and you just have to nail the reaction. I had no idea what it was going to feel like getting all that blood and brain sprayed on me. I just hoped I reacted properly and that it was all going to work out. So that was thrilling. And then everything in episode 9 was even more thrilling, getting to bury Leakey's body and then yell at Vic and Angela DeAngelis. That's a long answer, but those 3 things, those 3 episodes all stand out to me as being equally amazingly fun to shoot.
You know, the Leakey, shooting Leakey, it kind of reminded me of that scene in Pulp Fiction where Marvin, where they shot Marvin. Like, oh, he shot Marvin,
It was totally an homage to Pulp Fiction.
All right, so caller, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that burying Leakey in the garage was brilliant, and how much of that scene was actually improv between you and Tatiana?
They really let us go crazy on that one, which was so much fun. That was pretty much all improv. It was all they had in the script were just directions of like, you know, they're attempting to wrap the body with a tarp and blah 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 blah. So everything that we're saying and doing in those scenes that's all improv, and we had such a blast shooting that stuff. Yeah, it was great. It was nice that they let us sort of take that into our own hands a bit, and it shows how much they trust us with the material, and at the same time the writers trusted us with it, and that was really nice of them.
And also, you know that God forbid if you're ever in that situation, you can improv your way out of it.
This is true. I'm not planning on getting myself into that situation, but you never know.
So, caller, thank you so much for calling in. And where are you calling from? What group are you in, caller?
I'm sorry?
Are you in one of the Orphan Black groups?
No, I'm just one of the big fans on, like, mostly we're a huge fandom of clone clubs on, clone clubbers on Tumblr. So just kind of one of the random clone clubbers out there.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you for being such a fan and helping to break Tumblr last night. Tumblr broke down because of all the Orphan Black fans. It was pretty crazy.
It did, and we were all freaking out. It was insane.
Well, it just shows how much you guys love the show, and I was there with all the writers and John and Graham, the creators, and a couple of the actors, and we were completely overwhelmed by the outpouring of love that you guys sent us last night. It was incredible. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you so much for doing the show. It's awesome. We all love it a lot.
Awesome. Well, let's hope we get season 3 and we can chat about this again later.
All right. Thank you so much for calling.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Now, is season 3 still up in the air?
It's still up in the air. We haven't gotten any official go-ahead. But, I mean, I'm feeling pretty confident about it. But, you know, knock on wood. You never know in this business. So the numbers have been really good. We've been breaking video on demand records, which is great. So I think everything will line up and work out. But, yeah, we haven't gotten any official word or announcement yet. So
there's no way that they're going to cancel Orphan Black. I mean, that would be like
crazy.
That would be the biggest surprise of ever. I mean, there's no way that's going to happen. So, you know, I don't know why they playing around. You know, you know, it's like that'd be silly. But you know, one thing I've noticed though on BBC America, they really seem to pimp this show out called In the Flesh quite a bit.
Right.
That show seems they seem to put a lot behind the show In the Flesh. So I was wondering that show must be doing pretty good as well.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch it, but I've heard that it's awesome, and it's high up on my list of must-sees. So I'm actually looking forward to when I get a chance to sort of tackle another series, a new TV show. I'm going to throw that one on. They went pretty crazy just pushing Orphan Black, like running into season 2. I mean, like Times Square had these massive billboards of all the clones. That was just killer and so exciting to see. And then LA had them all over, I guess, Sunset Boulevard and everywhere. And Toronto's got tons of billboards everywhere. So the advertising, you know, between all the producers has just been fantastic. BBC knows what they're doing. They're awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So, Kristian, I have to ask, you know, after the burying of Leaky, there was another scene there. And
yeah, there was. There was a different type of... There was a burying and then a bearing.
So was it a stunt double?
There was not a stunt butt. That was all... That's all me, baby. That's my hammy ass hanging out, going to town. Yeah.
And did they tell you ahead of time you were doing this? How'd that come about?
I didn't know I was going to be naked until I read that episode. But having said that, I had signed a nudity clause in my contract that they wanted to make sure that, like, you know, are you okay with doing nudity? And I'm like, yes, come on, let's hang it out. Let's see what we can get out there.
Full frontal, yeah.
Yeah. It's TV. I know it wasn't going to be full frontal, but it would definitely be full rear. So I was all for it. I'm an exhibitionist. I don't care. You know, it's part of the job, and it was a bit nerve-wracking to shoot. We actually shot more of that scene. There was some actual like pumping going on.
That was for the producer's own pleasure, probably.
Yeah.
I shot eight hours worth of video. Hey, I shot 8 hours worth of video, and it's only like a couple of seconds. What'd you do with the video?
They had a really cool shot. Aaron Morton is our DOP, our director of photography, and he is incredible. He is so good. And they had this awesome shot where it was actually a view from outside the garage door, looking in the window up top. So they actually had a tracking shot that they built. Going along the windows, the upper windows of the garage door, looking down into the garage and panning past, and you just see me and Alison going at it over the freezer, and just like panning back as you slide along, looking through the windows. It was a hilarious shot, and Tatiana and I, if you were to zoom in and watch, we're laughing our asses off while we're doing it, because I'm essentially wearing a thong. Like a tiny, tiny thong, and you know, sex scenes are kind of awkward, and it's a closed set. They give you something to cover your privates as much as they can, and then you're basically simulating things, and it's very awkward. And it was late. It was super late at night. Tat and I were giggling so hard because it was just so bizarre and so weird. And she's like, "Just buddy, dude, just go for it. Just do it." I'm like, I can't believe I'm just mashing myself against you. This is so awkward. Okay. And we just started laughing because, you know, we're just going for it. Some poor Jeff Scott is our visual effects supervisor, and he is awesome. Like, all the VFX in the show are so well done. All those multiple clone scenes are great. That big dance party scene at the end of episode 10 of last night, the finale, took like days to shoot, and then like 300 man-hours of visual effects to simulate that. Well, some poor sap on his team had the job for like a couple days of just staring at my ass and digitally erasing the thong whenever it showed, like whenever the shirt would lift up. And he spent like so long, I think like a week, just staring at my ass and just like zooming in and just digitally erasing the little whale's tail thong hanging out. Poor guy. I gotta buy him a bottle of wine. I gotta ask Jeff who it was and send him a gift, because that is just a thankless task.
He said, I may not remember your face, but I know your ass very well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh man, could you picture you were off somewhere and in some room somewhere, there's a guy just staring at your ass all day?
Yeah, so you pan across all the computer screens of like what people are working on, and one screen is just like a massive big screen, HD, and it's just a zoom in of my butt. Like, terrible. Guy probably didn't eat for a week.
Oh no.
Oh man, you probably gained new fans though. That's for sure. That is funny. That's funny though. When they asked you to sign that agreement for nudity clause, what was going through your mind? I was like, wait a minute, you know.
You know what? I thought it was hilarious because it shows that they were going to do some really funny, fun stuff with Donnie, and I'm always for that. I mean, bring it on. I love the more bizarre, the better. And they'd already had me in my tighty whities a bunch in season 1, and those were always, funny scenes to shoot. And, my intro in season 2 was like, boom, in my underwear, at 4 a.m, like looking in on Alison while Fee is in the craft room hiding behind the door. So, I was expecting a lot more underwear work, but was pleasantly surprised to see Donnie and Alison rekindle their romance, which I think is really important as well, plot-wise.
Oh yeah.
I think we've spent a couple seasons bickering at each other and going behind each other's backs, and now that everything is in the open and they're working as a team and they're in love again, I think there's going to be some really fun times ahead. I know that they want to continue some of the madness, so Yeah, season 3. Let's get this thing going. Let's get a campaign going.
Season 3. Season 3.
You know, one thing too. I wonder. I don't know if you know this or not. When you first took the role, was it always understood that he was going to be a monitor, or that he didn't know that he was being taken advantage of, or is that something that's changed, or did you have any idea? Because I'm thinking, as just someone who watches the show, that maybe they had one thing that they thought, and then they liked you or whatnot, and then they changed it up. The fact that he, although he was involved with Leaky, but he was, he wasn't aware of exactly what was going on. So did that change, or was that something they always had planned?
It's hard to tell, because I didn't know until I read the final episode of season 1 and got to the last page, and was thrilled to see that I was in fact her monitor. I didn't know until I read that episode. So even when I was getting tortured in the craft room of terror stuff, I would ask John, who was directing that episode, John Fawcett, and I was like, dude, you got to tell me, am I her monitor or not? Like, am I lying to her, or am I telling the truth? And he's like, you know what, Graham and I, we don't know. So just go with what you know from the script, which is you are not her monitor. You keep saying that, so just go with that, because we haven't decided yet. We don't know what it's going to be. It could be Ainsley, it could be you, we don't know. They actually knew all along, or so they say, but they do that a lot because they want the performances to be as pure as possible in terms of the reality that character is going through at that moment, which I think is a very good idea, because who knows, I could have, if I had known that I was her monitor in the Craft of Terror, I might try and play that I'm covering up the fact that I am, which might be visible. It might come out in the performance just a little bit, whatever it is. Maybe it's a little smirk or a glint in the eye, and we didn't want the audience to be on his, or they didn't want the audience to be on Donnie's tail at all. So I appreciated that they didn't tell me, and it also made it more exciting when I read it for the first time just before. It's like a couple days before you shoot it, and you find out like, oh my God, this changes everything. Let's shoot this bad boy. It's a very exciting way to work, and I'm a fan of the show as well, but I know everything that happens because I read the script. So for me, instead of watching the episodes for the first time, I get excited when a new script arrives in my mailbox, and I immediately read it. Like, I can't wait to read the next script. So yeah, the same thing happened with Ari, who plays Mark on the show, and the big reveal at the end of season 2 of him being the male clone's Project Castor. He didn't know until just before they shot that episode when he got the script for the first time. So he didn't play that in any way the whole season,
you can tell. Right?
He was just playing pure Mark the whole time.
He's a good actor too. That guy, he's a really good actor.
He's awesome. Yeah, everybody's awesome. I love. We have such a love-in on that show, man. All the cast, we really get along. We love working with Tat. I think they've really done well with chemistry between the actors on this show, and I'm sure Tat has a hand in picking people too, because she's the one who's got to work with everybody.
Everybody, yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, but John and Graham have such a great, quirky eye towards what they want, and they just do such a bang-up job, and I feel really, really grateful that they gave me this opportunity to play Donnie, because I had a lot of friends audition for it, and I feel bad that they didn't get an opportunity to play this amazing character, and I bet they would have been awesome, but I'm really glad they picked me as well. So that's the way it goes.
Yeah, they'll get something else.
They will. They will. It's competitive up here, but people are super nice about it. You see your friends. We're all friends up here. We know each other, and we see each other in the auditioning room all the time. And I'm happy when a friend of mine gets a part that I went out for as well, and they're happy for me. Like, it's very cool. It's very civilized.